Hey everyone, Leader Dorset Spur here, back with my match reaction from last night's game against Elfsborg in the Europa League. Listen, what a difference a win makes, right? It can change everything. Last Sunday, Monday, certainly, I was pissed off, fed up, and the world was on my shoulders. Today after that win. I can kind of feel a little bit more upbeat and a little bit more happier in my overall demeanour, and it just kind of shows how football can impact you as a fan, especially when you're as invested in the matches as most of us are. If we're going to games, if we're not going to games, we're talking about games, we're talking about players, we're talking about a transfer window, we're watching videos, we're making videos, all that kind of stuff. So it's one of those really funny scenarios, is it? We're all so invested in it, and like I say, a win like that makes a huge difference. Well, listen, you've got to try to be level-headed and a little bit kind of thoughtful about it. Okay, you can't just go over the top, for sure. And I try to do that a lot. I do subscribe to the idea that if your team wins, you should celebrate it. You should really enjoy it, because you don't know when the next one's coming along. So you should always enjoy the wins and so on. But at the same time as that, you've also got to make sure that you are not going over the top on it. You know, you're not just giving yourself, too much and believe in your own hype, which is, something, sometimes we do it and sometimes we don't. But I didn't think, I thought that it was a strange game. First half, I think at one point we were at 80% possession, and it just felt like it wasn't really going anywhere. We wasn't getting anywhere in the game. Lots of side-to-side passing, lots of work between that midfield and back two, kind of just round and round and round and round, which was really, really frustrating. So I was a bit kind of, oh, here we go, this is going to be another one of those games. And the team that we put out there should have enough, right? The team that we put out there should have had enough to really kind of trouble Elfsborg. But you do have to remember that Elfsborg, that they were higher than Karabag, they were higher in the league than Ferencváros, they were higher in the league than who was the other one we played? I can't remember off the top of my head. And they had scored a couple of goals against Galatasaray. They had beat Roma. So I mean, they're no mugs as such. But clearly there is a gulf in class. We are a better footballing team and so on. So we should have done better in that first half. But, you look at what you've got on there, it was really good. I looked at the team and you think, right, okay, so you've got Davis at left back, and then then Gray at left-sided, right-sided centre-back, to accommodate Van der Ven coming back, which was brilliant. Seeing him come back was fantastic. We have really missed him, and you can see his calmness on the ball, his ability to play a good ball as well. His positioning was really good, and so on. But there was a time when the ball looked to break, and we thought that Van der Ven had to make a run, and the collective sound from all the Spurs fans that were sat with me in the club watching it, there was about 12 of us, it was all a bit of a, ooh, don't run, because we're all petrified he's going to get injured again. But no, he stepped across, his positioning was good, he won the ball and played it on. So good to see him come back. He was moving really, really well as well. He looked like he was okay. So I was, relieved to see that. Him coming off at half-time, again, it was planned for him to come off at half-time, which made sense. Good 45 minutes in his legs is good to have. I suspect he'll play again at the weekend to try to get, maybe an hour into that game as well. But of course, when he goes off, you're then reshuffling the pack as well, because you're then bringing on Dragushin, who plays right centre-back, which then means more moves to left centre-back. So that was a bit interesting to see that. And of course, then when we see Dragushin get injured, he goes off, and Sarr goes left back, and Davies comes into the team, and Gray has to move again. So, Archie Gray, he is like, you forget that this kid's 18, his first season in the Premier League, and he's playing every position around that back line, and he does well all of them. Like, he's going to make mistakes. He's not going to be perfect, but like, he plays so well in all of those positions and doesn't stitch himself up or disgrace himself at all. But anyway, listen, getting back to it, I had to say, I thought certainly in the first half, Son was playing really well, moving really well, running really well. He was able to show a bit of pace in that, and he was able to show some real good close ball control. And him and Davies were working really, really well down that left-hand side. Davies at one point, I thought like he was playing as a main striker, because he was up there the whole time, working really, really hard. And I'll be honest, I really don't think that Davies gets the credit that he deserves. I'm not saying he is an out-and-out starter and someone going to take us to the next level. But at the same time, he's a really professional squad player who doesn't moan, doesn't complain, comes in, gets on with it, plays the positions that he's asked to play, works hard for the team, and never lets you down, because people make mistakes. But in the overall minutes that he plays, he may make a mistake, but he will never let you down on purpose or play really, really badly. He's always right in there, right in the mix, and doing as best as he can. Moore was playing right-sided to obviously accommodate Sonny, and I thought we did well there. I thought he played well there. I prefer him on the left, because I think he's got a lot more about him on the left, but he can play on the right-hand side, and he was working hard. He made some really good runs into the box and so on. So I thought he did okay. We were playing so high up the pitch, though, which worried me. Like, watching it, I'm like, it only takes one mistake, and then you're on the back foot, and you're then relying on Van der Ven to make a recovery run and everything. And I mean, at one time, Austin was literally in the centre circle having a fag and a cup of tea. Like, he was literally camped out there because he didn't have anything else to do. But yeah, I felt edgy during the game. I really wanted us to do well here. I wanted us to take it on and really, really kind of smash someone to build that confidence in, but it just didn't feel like it was going to happen. And the whole game, it felt very much like that. Like it was just gonna kind of peter out, of course. Obviously, Dragushin then gets an injury, and from what I'm seeing, it looks like he's a knee injury that they can't kind of determine just yet, because it was something where he landed awkwardly, probably a twist or an extension or something like that. I'm hoping it's not too bad, even for him. Like, just for him not to be too injured and spend too much time off, let alone for the club, because obviously we've got Van der Ven coming back, got Ben Davies back, hopefully Romero's coming back. So, things are kind of turning around from that point of view, where those guys are coming back. So it shouldn't impact us too much in the longer term, maybe in the next couple of weeks. But obviously, it's another injury, it's another disappointment. But I don't want him to be, suffering through all of that. But of course, when he goes off, that triggered Scarlett coming on. I'm not sure whether Scarlett would have come on anyway. Potentially, he would have done, because I think, Sonny, they didn't want him to play the whole game. Richarlison, they didn't want him to play the whole game. So I think there was probably a plan for Scarlett to come on at some point, but whether that was the right point or not, I'm not sure. But I did find that quite odd. If I'm being honest, I found that quite odd. The lad's been out on loan at Oxford and couldn't get a game and so on. So he comes back to the club, but then gets on ahead of Will Lancashire, who must be a bit pissed off, especially now, having seen how the game panned out. Must be a little bit annoyed, because obviously he was he's played in this competition. He scored against Gala, got himself sent off, obviously, but he's looking for his opportunity. So I'm not sure why. Scarlett came on. I'm not sure what that means in terms of his loan, if he's going to get loaned or what. I don't know, but I know there has been talk about Lancashire getting loaned out. So maybe there's some talk about that, and maybe that's why the decision is there to rest him, to hold him back before he goes out on loan. And maybe Scarlett gets the second half of the season to kind of bed in and sit on the bench and maybe go in and play here and there. And maybe that's what's behind that. I don't know, but yeah, good to see him back and do really well. Took his goal really well. Great ball in, and diving header. I mean, for your debut goal, you can't do better than a diving header. One for the scrapbooks, isn't it? Exactly what you want. And they have talked about him being a top player. So can't really understand why he couldn't get minutes at Oxford. But listen, it is what it is. But fair play to him. Really chuffed for him to see him get on the score sheet. And of course, made all the difference for us. Gets us the win. Of course, then we get the other young lad come on, and I don't know how to say his name. I know his name's Damola. I'm not sure how you say his surname, so it may be AJ. I don't know. So apologies for butchering that. But came on really keen to get on the pitch, really keen to have a go, and he had a couple of good little cameos before he actually scored his goal. Cut inside, ran across the pitch. It opened up for him, and to be fair, Scarlett made a move. Scarlett made a move and dragged the defender away, and the lad took it ever so well. Fearless. I think he's like 19. Fearless attitude, working hard, running there, scored his goal, took his opportunity. Need slides into the corner flag by the south stand, and as did Scarlett, to be fair. And the celebrations are there, and you've won the game, right? So brilliant for him. So chuffed for him to see that. You always, it's great to have these big name stars come in and all the rest of it. That's great for the club and great for the fans to see these big names come in when they do. Not that we've seen a lot of that. But I don't think there's anything better than having your homegrown players coming through your academy and doing well, breaking into the first team and really doing well. I mean, that would be fantastic. I'd love to see that. Harry Kane obviously did it. It'd be good to kind of keep that going. Yeah, and then of course, right at the end there, Mikey Moore gets his debut goal as well, which absolutely deserved. I thought he'd worked really hard in the game. He'd been left attack, right attack, back again. He was kind of all over the pitch, and he kind of, there was a couple of opportunities beforehand during the game. He was close, and then this one kind of opened up. Luckily, the referee played the advantage because he could have blown there, but Moore kind of shrug off his player and give himself a yard, and that was it. Once he was away, there was no stopping him. And I think again, Scarlett was in there. I think it was talking about the AJ goal. I think it was actually Scarlett who set him up, so that it was an assist for that one. And I think it was the Moore one where he kind of made a run that kind of pulled the defender away. I think I got that the other way round. And Moore obviously buries it again. Another knee slide into the same place as the other two young lads, in front of his family, in front of the south stand, and that meant so much. And he absolutely deserved it. Like I say, he had a couple of opportunities earlier on, but to be fair to the Elfsborg goalkeeper, he had a really good game. There was a few opportunities, a couple of saves he made that kept them in it. I think we probably could have been about 3-0 up in the first half, to be fair, if it hadn't been for the saves of the keeper. And a lot of really good defending as well. The lad with a tash worked really, really hard as well, trying to keep us out. And I think they were resolute in their defending, and so it was quite difficult to actually break them down. But we did have some opportunities. Sonny, again, close control, skinning his man and getting into the box several times, and it just needed that right pass to come off, but it just didn't seem to happen. There was a lot of kicking about in the box, a lot of time in the box where the ball was kind of bobbling around and no one could really get a clear opportunity. So fair play to their keeper and to their defenders. I thought they did really, really well. And to be fair, before we scored our goals, there was an opportunity there was a little bit of an overhead, bit of a mix up at the back, and honestly, it was one of those where you think to yourself, that's the moment that you've had all that possession, and then all of a sudden something like that happens and you're 1-0 down, and then they've shut up shop absolutely, and you're getting basically nowhere fast, and we know we struggle to break down low block teams. So yeah, it was an interesting game. It was a good result, if not a great performance. I thought there was some individual bits of brilliance in there. There was some individual good bits of play, but of course, you've got to get it in the back of the net to really count, and we didn't do that early enough. But again, three of your academy players scoring on their debuts, one debut, but the others in their early parts of their career to score a goal. 17-year-old, a 19-year-old, and a 20-year-old. And Angie's being forced to use these players. He's being forced to use these kids. Because bear in mind as well, you had Lewis Bergvall, 18 on the pitch as well, and Archie Gray at 18 on the pitch, all really contributing. I thought Bergvall had a really good game, working really, really hard for the team. So, what's that? 5 teenagers on the pitch at once again. It's being forced into those situations, and I don't think these youngsters are letting him down. And maybe that's what Ange needs to think about: is you're playing these players in their positions that are going to just do their job. If you put Scarlett up front and you give him the service, then he has every opportunity because he knows what he needs to do. Same for Lancashire, rather than switching about with players just to try to fit because they are the first teamers that you've got. Because I think these kids are keen to have a go. They want to do their best. But it's Elfsborg, and they are in the Swedish league and all the rest of it. So you can't really gauge whether these lads can do it in the Premier League. But we've seen from Bergvall, we've seen from Gray that they can put that effort in and work really hard at it. So yeah, for me, I was just really pleased to see the result and enable us to progress, and hopefully I'll be able to get another European away game out of it. Yeah, can't wait. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll be the case. But yeah, so for me, happy. It's cheered me up. Big game at the weekend, obviously against Brentford. Now Brentford, we beat them 3-1 at home, but they're no mugs. They're on a decent run. They're doing quite well in the Premier League, better than us because we are obviously right down at the bottom. But it's a sort of game that you kind of need before the big game against Liverpool next week, because that is going to be one hell of a difficult game. So fingers crossed that we can get across the line. I have predicted a 2-2 for that game. But that's my head saying that rather than my heart saying 2-1. I want to see us win. I think we've got enough about us to be able to do it. But this injury situation is just really not helping. But Richie, again, he's stepping in. He's working hard, and that he's had 2 goals in 3 games, so you can't complain at that. Looking to try to get sharper as he increases his minutes. But yeah, we're just going to have to see where it takes us. But we march on in the Europa League, which is good. We don't get the extra game, which is fantastic, and we're still in the Carabao Cup and early stages of the FA Cup. So you've got to take the positives when you can, because there's not always positives and there's lots of negatives around this football club at the moment. Signing's still not happening. Still nothing on there. I know we're talking about Matthias Tell. But again, I'm not confident until he's holding up the shirt. I'm not confident that that's going to happen. But again, fits our bill. 19-year-old player. kind of thing you think would work for us, would be something that we go for. But does the player want to play for us? You know, we're in 15th. You know, does he? Is he that elite that he thinks he's got to play for? You know, someone who's Champions League football or whatever. I don't know. I don't know the player. I don't know enough about him to know how he kind of works. But my view is if he's divvying about coming, then to me he probably don't want to come. So I'm hoping that we've got other targets and that we're working on other targets. And this isn't going to be another one of those where they just go, oh, we tried our best. You know, we pulled out the stops. We worked really hard, but ultimately the player didn't want to come. Well, if you know that, you'll know that fairly quickly when you're talking to the player. If the player's not convinced straight away, then move on. And you can't tell me you're only looking at one player here and there. And I know this was a late one. I know this was a kind of late one to the party. It wasn't obvious that he was gonna want to move on in this window. But you know, you've got to take those opportunities. But yeah, we are still woefully short, and Daniel Levy really needs to get his finger out. Scott Munn, where are you? Where are you? Johan Lang, where are you? What are you doing? You know, because you're just killing the club. You're just killing the club, and it's painful. Luckily for them, you've got these youngsters coming through that are doing as much as they can and everything. And is taking the blame as the manager, as he probably should. So he's getting a lot of stick. I, for one, just want to see something work. You know, is Ange the right person? I don't know. But I want to see the club progress. I want to see us get better. I want to see us win some games and progress in the competitions and try to get this monkey off our back. But until he's been given what he needs, sufficient rebuild and the right kind of players with the right kind of attitude, and that you can't really judge him. He makes mistakes, absolutely. He makes stupid decisions, absolutely. Before the game, there was a lot of people calling out, "What are you doing with Van der Ven, bringing him in? This is crazy, blah, blah, blah." But he did the right thing. He needs to get minutes, because otherwise, how are you going to judge whether he's fit enough or not? There's always a risk of players going to get injured. Dragushin showed that, you know, innocuous, trying to stop the ball from going out, and he's done something to his knee, landed awkwardly. It happens, you know. You can just see it. So I don't know what the answer is. Whilst the manager's there, I'll always support them and want them to do well. When he's not there, okay, I'll look back at him and go, okay, this is what it was. But I'm still not convinced about who we're getting in. You know, who's coming that's going to make such a big difference? Who's coming in that's going to make these players fit? Who's going to come in and make these players play better, not make individual errors? Because most of our goals against us have been individual errors rather than being caught out by a high line or that kind of stuff. In my mind, anyway. And I may be wrong. And again, this is all about opinions. It's all about opinions. So I don't know. I don't know what else there is to say. So big result. Great to see those lads scoring. It's really wholesome seeing their interviews afterwards, how grounded these kids are. And when you see them talking, you realise how young they actually are. You watch them playing, they're like a football player. They're in the team, they're a footballer. When you see them talking and everything, whilst they are very grounded and very obviously media savvy, you can still see that these are just kids. You know, Mikey Moore is 2 years older than my oldest grandson. You know, and I'm like, it's crazy to think how grown up and talented that lad is. But listen, you know, fair play. I love to see it, and I hope all of them come through and make an impact further on in their careers and don't just get shut out. But all the while you're bringing players in, that's likely to happen. But you know, it's a mix. It's a mix. If we can get some homegrown and some good purchases, I'm pleased with that. The last thing I was going to say, just kind of off the cuff, I actually thought about doing this video live, going live and talking about the match. Had a bit of time this afternoon to do it, and I thought, maybe I could go live in that, and then I could probably, if there was anyone watching, at kind of 2:30 in the afternoon, we could have kind of talked about the game and got other people's feedback as we go and kind of commented on that. So I'm not sure whether that would have been a good thing to do or not. If you thought that was a good thing to do, let me know. Let me know in the comments or whatever what you think about the idea of reviewing a game live after the game. and just see what you think you can interact with me or whatever. But yeah, it was just a thought today. Should I do it live or should I just make my video and put it out there? And I thought I'd go with a safe option. But anyway, listen. As always, thank you so much for all those that do watch, for all those that do like, for all those that do comment. If you've not subscribed to the channel, please do. It don't cost you anything, and it also means that you get to know when I'm making a video, so you don't get to miss any, which is a bonus. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching. As always, I'll see you on the next one, and keep the faith and up the Spurs.